My guest today is a multi-time world champion. He is the executive producer and one of the stars of the upcoming film Cagefighter Worlds Collide, which will be available on FITE TV anywhere outside the US and the Caribbean on May 16th. Please welcome Jay Christian Reso. Jay, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. As you can tell, I'm wearing a hat. Haven't had my hair cut in like 2 months, so you know,
Yeah, I'm
it's a
just letting mine
disaster.
grow higher and
Yeah,
higher.
like
Yeah.
pretty soon I'm gonna look like Christian circa 1999. I'll be like wearing crazy sunglasses, and who knows?
There won't be a lot of complaints from fans, I think, in that
No,
regard.
no, probably not.
Be excited to see that happen.
Yeah,
Hey, let's get right into talking about Cagefighter.
sure.
Cagefighter Worlds Collide. It's an interesting concept because it kind of takes this real life hot topic. Anytime a professional wrestler wants to try their hand in MMA, some have been very successful, some have not been very successful. But it really kind of shows you an interesting perspective. Is there anything you can really tell us about this film?
Yeah, I mean, like you just said, it's very kind of current with what's going on. We've seen over the last few years several wrestlers jump from the pro wrestling ranks into MMA, wanted to challenge themselves and test their hand in that. We've seen it with obviously with Brock Lesnar, with guys like Bobby Lashley, CM Punk, and most recently with Jake Hager. Like I said, it seems like a hot button topic at this point in time, and seems like a good opportunity to put a movie like this out. It's I think also from it is an MMA movie. It's not a wrestling movie, so it's I think it's also it shows you the showmanship, I think, that a lot of MMA fighters have taken from pro wrestling and kind of incorporated into selling their fights and understanding that, what you do is actually more than going in there and having a fight. The ones that have really figured it out and I think have kind of become bigger names are the ones that have kind of incorporated some pro wrestling type talking skills, some
Oh,
promos into
absolutely.
their fights and getting people interested in that respect. And I always thought, like, if you have a personal connection with your audience, whether they want to see you win or they want to see you lose, either way, they'll pay to see you win or they'll pay to see you lose. You've done something there.
So you're playing in this film. You're an MMA podcaster, Stephen
Right.
Drake.
Yeah.
What's that character like? How's that character compare to Jay Reso in real life? Because you're
Well,
obviously you're a successful podcaster as well.
right. Yeah. I mean, but it's like, I think of a guy like an Ariel Helwani or something like
Mhm.
that, who is trying to, um, who obviously has a passion for the sport and is also trying to stay, have his finger on the pulse of what's happening on a daily basis as far as like breaking news and big scoops and things like that. So this guy's always looking for the big thing to get out there and kind of he kind of pulls no punches with his interviews and those sorts of things as well.
So is the character presented as more legitimate or more of like a parody of a podcaster? Would you say?
No, a legitimate. Like
Okay.
he's kind of the like big like breaking announcements are made on his show type thing. So it's very much a serious character in the movie.
So not only are you starring in this, but you're an executive producer. What attracted you to this specifically to get so involved in the project beyond just acting?
Well, I mean, I take more credit than it's actually just kind of a better title than anything.
You just wanted your name on there as many times as you possibly
Yeah,
could. Yeah.
it was. I had done some stuff with on a movie called Super Grid years ago, an independent movie, and one of the producers from that, a guy named Hugh Patterson, was friends with Shane Putzlocker, who's a producer on this film. And when he told him the concept, he said, "Well, you should talk to Jay about some of the wrestling things in it." So, I took a look at it and made a couple suggestions, and they asked if I wanted that title, and I was like, "Yeah, sure, that'll look good on a resume."
Yeah.
But
Right.
it's been fun,
What are you gonna say? No.
Yeah,
No, I don't want that. Keep me out of this.
yeah, learning a different side of it, and but a whole new respect for people in that position. Like I said, there's people that did a lot more on this film than I did. I was just a small part of it.
So obviously, you're best known as Christian in the
Mm.
WWE, world champion, multi-time tag champion, intercontinental champion. We can go. I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot there. We can go on and on.
Yeah.
But between your appearances, this film, the film you just mentioned before, Haven, of course, then the as yourself stuff that you're doing with backstage on FS1, the podcast, some of the funniest sketch comedy I've ever seen on your network show.
Yeah.
What has you've really transitioned well, very well, out of just that pro wrestler box. Is
Yeah.
there anything that you felt was kind of easy to slide into, and anything that was maybe the most challenging as a change from professional wrestling?
Yeah, I mean, well, the biggest change is obviously getting used to like not traveling. As weird as that sounds, like you're in this mode of go 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 all the time, and there's never any time to relax. So like when I first had it, it was almost like this is weird. Like I feel like I should be doing something, or packing a bag or doing laundry or whatever. But as far as that goes, like I felt like I always wanted to be prepared for what came after. I always obviously felt like what I did was going to be obviously a platform that gave me a lot of opportunities. So it was always kind of like, what was the next challenge going to be after that? Because you have to have a creative outlet, you have to have a purpose, and it was just one of those things where like it was scary, stepping away, but I like to do things that scare me or make me nervous. Like, to me, that's nothing to run away from. It's something to kind of go after. And, the acting thing kind of with those parts kind of fell in my lap, and obviously, wanted to do something new and something challenging. And wrestling's never easy and you never stop learning, but you do get to the point where you're like, yeah, I'm pretty good at this. You're very confident in everything that you're doing. So when you go onto a set or something like that and you see, people that have done it for a long time, you're almost like a sponge trying to pick up the nuances and asking questions and learning and doing different things. So, I just wanted to do a bunch of different things just to kind of, keep my mind working and keep me challenged and work with people that are better than me. And I always felt like if you work with people that are better than you, you get better yourself. So that's what I've tried to do.
Definitely. You mentioned traveling, which obviously an enormous part of professional wrestling, more than the actual wrestling itself, really. This film was shot in Toronto, correct?
No, it was shot in Saskatchewan.
Oh,
Regina.
okay. Okay. How long were you there? Was that just kind of an in and out, or did you?
Yeah, I was literally there for. They were there. They shot the better part of a month, more than a month, I think.
Okay.
I was literally there for like 4 days.
Okay. Hey.
I had such a packed schedule obviously they were very accommodating for me to get in there. But Regina is not an easy place to get to either, right? So and it's cold in the winter, man. It's so cold, but great people there. Salt of the earth people in Regina. So it was, and I'd done some stuff there before, so I'd obviously wrestled in Regina before, so it's always nice to go back there. But I was literally in and out very quickly.
So one of the people that's starring in this, obviously we have a ton of MMA people, Chuck Liddell being one of them that just pops right out at me as a legend in the MMA world. Jon Moxley is starring in this. I was told that you had a part in either suggesting it to him or putting his name in there somewhere, maybe connecting somebody. Is there any truth to that?
Well, I think that like when we like read it together, it was almost like, well, who's going to play this wrestler part? And everyone, he was with WWE, and it was almost like this was, it just felt like it was him. And, so, like I said, this isn't a wrestling movie. This is an MMA movie. So, it was who's the right person for this part. And, it just happened that he kind of became a free agent, like as this whole like casting thing was happening. And, it got him signed up, and, it was before AEW or before, New Japan or any of those other things. And to be honest, I think he was the choice, regardless of whether he was wherever he was. He was going to be the guy that was right for the part, and we're going to try to get him regardless. So, but he's really good. He's really good in it, and I think it was kind of tailor made for him.
One of the things that that I was excited about as a lifelong wrestling fan was a lot of the time, with the exception of maybe a film like The Wrestler, professional wrestlers, I don't feel in TV and film are necessarily always portrayed real, I guess, for lack of a better term. Never really portrayed the way that they really are. They're either masked with a cape and whatever. So is that something that was kind of refreshing for you to be able to see? Was that something maybe you and Moxley being involved in this, an input that you were able to put in to be able to have a professional wrestler not being presented as this goofy, caricature, and instead...
Yeah, it's obviously, to be like, that's, as a pro wrestler, you're always kind of fighting for credibility, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's one of those things, unless you're in it and you're doing it, or if you get it, you get it, and but for, sometimes people hear it and they're like, oh, the fake stuff on TV. And it's always kind of that you feel like your back's against the wall, so to speak, in defending what you do. And,
right.
And so to see that it wasn't portrayed like that in this movie, it was, really exciting.
To touch base on something that obviously, anybody who watches this would be mad at me if I don't bring this up. No matter how successful you and Edge are separately, you will always be, if you talk about one, you're going to think of the other, which I think it speaks to the success you guys had as a team. Edge is back he's back wrestling after almost a decade of his career being over. And the question that I'm sure I am by far not the first person to ask you is, hey, if Edge is back, does that mean Christian can come back? Is that something that could happen? Is that something you would even care to do at this point in your life, in your career?
Yeah, I mean, like it's one of those things too where I'm content with the things that I've done, and it's hard because I've started like a new chapter, so it's hard to kind of look back and like we have different injuries, I dealt with some concussion issues and things like that, so it's a completely different animal as far as his was structural with his neck and things like that. So he obviously got another surgery, and then it healed really well, and obviously the surgery's advanced from when he first had it and got him to the point where he's at now. And I think it was important for him to be able to go back and rewrite the last part of his story on his terms rather than kind of having it decided for him. And so people ask me that all the time or think that's going to happen, and I just don't. Like I'm what they call medically disqualified. I just don't see how at this point how that would ever happen.
Well, I think you've solidified your place in wrestling history
Thanks,
as it is now. And obviously your health is by far the most important thing. The last wrestling question I'll ask is kind of a fun one that I like to do with people sometimes, which is, and it's especially fun for you because if you just look at your WWE career from coming in as somewhat of like a vampire, to the funny stuff you mentioned earlier with the glasses to, the near the end of your career. The question I always ask is if you weren't any of those characters and you were able to have a do-over and choose any character, whether, I don't know if you have a name in mind or whatever, what's another character that you would have wanted to be?
Well, in high school we had made like a little wrestling federation that we used to Edge, and there was and former Kazarni, Cody. They would be in our class and they would draw up the card, and then at lunch we'd all meet in this little courtyard and we'd wrestle out the matches. And my character in high school was very like a Macho Man inspired character called Sweet Daddy Freakout. So maybe bring him to life.
Nice. Maybe one day, if you ever found yourself able to return to the ring for one more match, that has to be it. I want to run down just some of the facts about the movie one more time before we go. Sure. And thank you again so much for taking the time to be here. The film is called Cagefighter Worlds Collide, and it will be available for only 24 hours on FITE on Saturday, May 16th. It's available on FITE everywhere in the world except the United States and the Caribbean or Caribbean, however you choose to say it. Now, the start time is staggered around the world, so you do want to make sure that you check FITE.tv for your start time and your price on that platform. But wait, there is more. There is a Q&A, a roundtable discussion with key participants in the film immediately following the end of the movie. Are you a part of that?
I believe so.
Okay.
I don't want to.
You sat around a table and talked to people for a while, but you don't know if they filmed it or not.
Yeah, well, I don't think they've done it yet.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
It might be live for all I know.
Great. So then people have they have time to come up with their questions that maybe they can throw out to you. Well, again, I just want to thank you so much for taking the time. As a lifelong fan and a huge fan of yours, this is really an honor and a highlight for me to be able to talk with you. The film, again, Cagefighter Worlds Collide, May 16th on FITE. Good luck with the film. I can't wait to see it, and good luck with everything in the future. Jay, Christian, Reso, everybody.
Hey, thanks for having me. Yeah, and appreciate the support, and make sure you check it out May 16th.
All right, thank you very much.
Have a good one.
Live from London, England! Are you ready for a new legend?